Good evening, dear Thomas. I'm glad you're here. I want to thank you, first of all, for accepting the invitation to be my guest on this podcast, supported by the Institute for Multidisciplinary Research in Art within the University of Arts George Enescu. My thanks also go to my dear colleague Mihaela Balan, a lecturer at the same university, you have met her, who organized the interesting conference entitled Contemporary Teaching Approaches and Research Directions in Specialized Music Education, where you had also a presentation. First of all, I'd like you to tell us something about you.
Yes, my name is Thomas Solak. I'm from Denmark. I work as associate professor at the Royal Danish Academy of Music Theory. And I'm also there responsible for what we call educational technology. And besides that, I have two other hats for the moment. I am head of the music theory department, and I'm also responsible for what we call pedagogical project development. So teachers who want to do some projects within pedagogy, I'm in charge of that.
Good. I want to ask you a question from far, far away. When and how did you get in touch with music?
Oh, that's a long time ago. Actually, my parents, they went often to church when I was a child, and there was this organ up there, and I was very fascinated by that. So that was actually my first instrument. We had a piano back at home, but I was really interested in that organ, so I got some fundamental teaching, I would say, at the age of 8 or 10 or something like that. And then later it became piano, so I applied at the conservatory as a pianist, and I studied piano for 4 years. And then another interests have been raising all those years. So I actually I changed my mains to music theory after that. But in the meantime, I've been organist for 15 years and employed as an organist as well. So I have a quite wide background. But it started with this organ.
So you are one of those musicians that want to understand what they do.
Exactly. It also has to do with teaching, I think, all the time, because I was always interested in giving my knowledge to other people. So I always had piano pupils, and I think that music theory, the interest is a lot about disseminating what is inside the music, and how can you set that into words? How can you make people even experience more with music by giving them a key to listen? So I think that's why I'm very interested in music theory. It's not only analysis, it's also dissemination or experience.
Talking about music theory and analysis, as a musician with a structured way of thinking, how do you perceive the music you listen in a symphonic concert, let's say?
Oh, that's a really tricky question, because I think what you mean by that is, doesn't it destroy my way of experiencing the music that I know so much about?
Right.
In a way, but I think I'm on the other side of some kind of edge now, because when I was younger, I think I struggled a bit with that all the time. But now I'm able to use that knowledge for even a better experience. So I'm able to sit down and listen to a symphonic concert actually without being disturbed by any thoughts.
I am asking you because I also noticed this kind of understanding that is going step by step from this kind of listening with too much attention, let's say, musical attention, searching musical forms than going to just enjoying the music better than you could ever. So tell me, if you could completely change the way music theory is taught, where would you start?
First of all, I should say that where I teach, it's a conservatory. That means that most of the students are performers. So they use music theory, if they use it for anything, that would be to enhance their performance somehow, or their insight in the music before they create an interpretation. So I think what I would like to do was actually to connect it even more to the performance. I've done some projects approaching that problem. So that was where I would try to start if I had the opportunity to change what we are doing right now. Connect it more to the practical performance, actually. I used to say that we practice music theory at the conservatory, so it's taught very much like, if you want to know what a Bach fugue is, you have to write one. So that's what we do. We instruct them how to write in Bach style in order to gain more insight to this particular kind of writing.
Are students open to this kind of view?
To a certain extent. It depends on what they are studying, actually. For example, church musicians who play a lot of Bach music, they are very much into what is the content of this, really. And they also need, because they have to be creative in the way they work, they need to be able to do something more on the spot.
Awesome. I saw that you are not only a musician, but you also studied programming and software design. This kind of combination seems very interesting to me, and I want to ask you, what did you do with this combination of music and software development?
Yeah, it's a rare combination, actually. The motivation, I should say, was music and teaching again. So the reason why I started to study how to program was because I wanted to enhance the teaching. I wanted to make tools for the students so that they would be able to rehearse better, to train their theoretical knowledge with the computer as a partner. So that was all the motivation. It's not that I'm very fond of technology. Actually, I hate technology, I say, unless it really gives us something we can't achieve without. So I tried to make software that would be able to do something that I couldn't do without that software. That is to be together with the students during his preparation. So that was the motivation, and I did some programs back in the 90s, actually mid-90s, that could help students, for example, work with voice leading and correct their voice leading during their work, in order to make them capable of doing better homework and more conscious homework.
And did you create some programs for, let's say, musicology also?
No, it's quite practical what I've done. It's really closely related to writing music or analysis, I would say. So not musicology in the sense of the whole area, but more like analysis of foreground harmonic events, for example, which is partly easy to say something about from a computer perspective. You have to be careful that you don't try to say something about the work of a student if you can't say everything, I think.
So speaking about music analysis and music theory, I noticed that in Denmark, as in other European countries, musicology is studied in non-artistic universities. And I wanted to ask you, what do you think about this? What could be the advantages in this case? Because in Romania we only study musicology in music universities.
Yes, it's actually the same in Denmark. What you could call musicology is studied at the university in a music department. It's not that it's not practical, because you also become a teacher that way, for the high school, for example. But musicology is only taught there, actually. At the conservatories, it's just called music theory, which is a hat of a lot of different things, but it's mainly harmony and analysis. Of course, music history is also a part of the curriculum there. It's a little bit on the side, but it's also a different music history than they have at the universities. Of course, it's the same history, but it's regarded in another way. It's with the works and with the composers in the very core of it. It's not so much social studies or anything else like that. So it's really with the music as the core all the time. And the music understood as something you are going to perform.
All right.
And that also counts for music theory. It's very practical. It's a way of understanding what you are using, what material are you working with when you play.
Do you know students that studied music performance and then wanted to do musicology?
I think it often goes the other way. But it might be because I don't know that some students leave us. The case is, if you want to study an instrument on that level, you have been doing that since you were 4 or 5 years old. And that means that when you come to a conservatory like ours in Copenhagen, you have been in that business for many years already. And I think most of them, they know that they want to do it, so they don't change afterwards. But we have a couple of students coming every year from the universities that finds out that they want to do something more practical or more performance-wise with their music studies.
Isn't it too late?
It depends on what it is, actually. You can study as a music teacher, for example,
Yes.
at a conservatory with that background. It might be very good, actually.
But not an instrument, right?
Not an instrument unless you have... But there's singers, actually. There are singers that have been singing seriously while studying musicology, and then they find out that this could be a way of living, and then they come to the conservatory.
Interesting.
But not violin. If we're talking about strings, it requires that you start very early.
Yes, this is why I'm asking.
Yes.
And I was also wondering what disciplines do they study in musicology, and what do they study in performing? Are there mutual disciplines?
I think that all we do at the conservatory, that is, for example, harmony and counterpoint, quite seriously, I think they do the same at the university, but not to the same extent. So they just are informed that this is existing. They try maybe to do a bit of it, but they are not becoming masters in it, because the main subject at the university is music history, the way they teach that. So there are common subjects, but I think they are taught very differently. Also, we have small classes in harmony, for example. We are 6 people, or 6 students, plus a teacher, that's 7 people. I think this is taught in classes of 30 at the universities. Mm-hmm. I'm really not sure about that, but it's something like that amount.
So someone that wants to become a musicologist has to be a musician or not? No, I don't think so. It's perfectly okay to become a musicologist and work in that area. That is a kind of science. Well, it might not be science, but it's research. Mm-hmm. And we don't do research the same way at the conservatory at all. It's more practical, and I think we can benefit from both worlds, really. Do students or teachers from the musicology specialization come to the music university and share experience, or the other way?
There had been occasions where that happened, but it's really rare actually. We don't share so much. I was doing, just as an example, a couple of years ago, I was doing a project on Schenker analysis, which have never touched down at our conservatory before. I just wanted to investigate, what is that? Could that be used for performance? So we did a performance Schenker analysis project. And by that occasion, we actually invited people from musicology coming to us. And they also contributed with really valuable things. So there are examples of that, but it's not common.
All right. I have a question that concerns a little bit more the present. What do you think about artificial intelligence and music research, let's say? Is it rather a tool or a trap?
I hope it will be a tool. One of the things I was talking about at the conference was actually the use of computers for learning music theory, but also with a slight approach into AI, which I just think is the new generation background technology. So when I programmed, it was like, I think they call it processual programming, where you have one event, then you get to another event and you build that way. And later on, it was object-oriented programming, where you have objects, you make them talk together. Now we have AI, which is a machine out there doing something for you. So the question is that we ask that machine to do what we want it to do. Then it might be a very effective tool.
So we shouldn't be scared of it?
I hope not scared, but more demanding, like we control what we want to use it for. And then I think it could be a very effective tool.
So we should learn how to require.
Exactly. Requirement specifications, you call it in programming.
In programming?
Yeah, requirement specifications, that's where you start. What should my application do for me? What's the input, what's the output, how is it constructed, this? And
so tell me, someone that has a structured way of thinking as you are, is it more likely to make AI a tool for his musical activity? Because it's coding.
Yes, I don't know. I'm really not a specialist in AI. I do not know much about how it works in the background. I investigated a few things. I tried to use it for a few things, and obviously it's very good for text at the moment. Right. But what I demonstrated at the conference, I also tried to give it a melody. That was ChatGPT. That there are other machines actually, which might be better for that. But I just thought ChatGPT, everyone uses that. What if I ask it to do a harmonization on this melody, 4 periods, chorale? It was a disaster. I'm sorry.
Yes. Talking about the programs you created, did you notice students liking it or working better with than without?
Yeah, back from the 90s actually, and that's what I brought that example to the conference because I think that we at some point in the 30 years that have been in between have somehow left our demands somewhere, because if development during those 30 years were followed by new requirement specifications all the time, we might have gone even further now. But I don't think we have. What I experienced in the 90s with that, the first application I made, was actually students who were happy about doing that work because they had the response from the computer all the time while they were working. and in between the lessons, so you didn't have that week to wait until some teacher would say something for you or will comment on what you did. The computer helped them to be more conscious about their working process and make better results. But the consciousness, I think that was the most important about it. So I experienced at that time that students liked it a lot, as a companion or something.
Are you thinking about internationalizing these programs?
I have been thinking about it. Actually, I also tried to make, at that time, in the zeros, a Nordic project, where it also was a kind of a language terminology project, where we could inform each other about what do we call different things. But it lacked financial, it lacked money, so it never came up. But I think also during this conference, I was aware that there are many interested in that, so maybe it should be more like an EU project or something.
Thank you for these interesting pieces of information you gave me. For the end of our talk, I'd like to ask you a more musical, personal question. Do you have a favorite musical work?
No, I don't. I have many.
Many?
Yes.
Can you tell us one of them?
Mahler's Ninth Symphony, for example. Many works by Johann Sebastian Bach, because I studied his composition technique very much. That made me even more aware of the art in that. So I could mention more. I also love Debussy's music, which is something completely different.
So music, even if you analyze it more and more, can give you the joy of listening to it, right?
It can. Actually, sometimes it can also give me the joy without listening, but just thinking of it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.